Fiore Exploration Limited is a sponsor and client of PinnacleDigest.com.
Last month, we traveled to a prolific gold belt in northern Ontario. Today, I'm standing in Chile, the world's largest copper-producing nation. We flew in yesterday, landing in Antofagasta, a port city with the highest GDP per capita in the country, coming in at about 37,000 USD. The bedrock of the economy is mining. This became apparent to me almost instantly upon landing, as about a quarter of the vehicles on the road are trucks used for mining-related activity. This has been a huge wealth creator in the region and country for decades. When it comes to investment attractiveness, according to the 2015 Fraser Institute Investment Survey for Mining Companies, Chile ranked 11th, ahead of prominent regions such as the Yukon and Wyoming. In respect to Latin America, it was ranked number 1. Chile is the world's largest copper producer and exporter, producing some 6 million tons in 2015. Mining is in this country's DNA, and many of the world's largest mining companies have key assets in Chile. When it comes to gold, Chile was the 14th largest producer in the world last year, producing some 50 tons according to World Atlas. This is about 1/3 of Canada's approximate 160 tons of annual production. The country is quickly making a name for itself in the gold sector, and that's exactly why I'm here today. What you're looking at is Yamana's El Peñon gold-silver mine, described as its flagship precious metals mine. According to Yamana, it produced 227,000 ounces of gold and 7.7 million ounces of silver in 2015, with reported cash costs of $621 US an ounce for gold and $8.38 an ounce for silver. It's understandable why this asset is so important to Yamana. The production costs appear highly attractive, among the best in the world from what I've researched. As impressive as that is, I'm not standing in the Chilean desert, about 130 kilometers from Antofagasta, to talk about a $4.5 billion company and its flagship precious metals mine. I'm here to learn more about a particular Canadian-based explorer, Fiore Exploration. On August 4, 2016, Fiore announced that it had managed to lock up, via an option agreement, the Pampas El Peñon Project. The project consists of 13 mining claims totaling 3,400 hectares. This caught our attention because the property consists of 2 separate mining blocks, lying immediately to the north and west of Yamana Gold's Augusta Victoria mine complex. Today I'll be joined by Tim Warman, Fiore Exploration's CEO, to better explain the current opportunity and recent history of the project. Tim has been involved with a number of successful exploration companies over the past decade, which together have discovered more than 30 million ounces of gold. Previously, Tim was Vice President Corporate Development of Aurelian Resources, where he supported the exploration team in Ecuador, managed early-stage development studies, and played a significant role in successfully negotiating the $1.2 billion acquisition of Aurelian by Kinross Gold. Tim, can you explain where we are right now in relation to Fiore's project and Yamana's gold mine?
So Yamana's operating Pampas Augusta Victoria mine is literally just over this hill behind us here. In fact, you can actually hear some of the heavy equipment that's operating there. Fiore's concessions are here behind us. This large area you see here, and in fact our first drill targets are going to be over on that light-colored hill behind us. We also have another concession area just to the north of the Pampas Augusta Victoria mine.
And how is Fiore, a relatively small junior company, able to acquire this project?
So the concessions themselves are actually held by a company called Soquimich, which is a large Chilean fertilizer and lithium mining company. They don't have a lot of expertise in precious metals exploration, and they're often very challenging to do deals with, these large Chilean companies. But the principals of Arena Minerals, the people that we actually optioned the claims from, they're originally from Latin America. They were able to take the time and the patience to do the deal with Soquimich on this ground, and they know how business is done down here. When we in turn optioned it from Arena Minerals, Arena became one of our largest shareholders, and so we continue to benefit from that relationship between the principals of Arena and Soquimich.
And what are the terms of the options?
So the option agreement is we acquire 100% of the concessions from SOCIMEJ. For that, we issued about 9 million shares to Arena and about 5.5 million shares to SOCIMEJ, so they both remain large shareholders of ours. Cash payments of about $725,000, which we've already made about $225,000 of those payments, and then a work commitment of about $1.8 million US, which is actually perfectly suited to the scale of this property.
Over how many years?
It's over about a year. So we have to make those expenditures by next July, and with the drill program that's going to be starting in a few days, we'll be well into that spend.
Talking about exploration, what work has been done to date?
So there's actually been very little work done. As I said, SOCIMEJ is not really a precious metals explorer. They did some basic field mapping here, they did some sampling, a little bit of trenching, and they drilled a couple of very shallow drill holes, sort of 50 or 60 meter drill holes, which is not really the appropriate kind of drilling to do here, but still, it gives us an indication. And the key things that came out of that are that there's two strong indicators that this property hosts similar epithermal veins to Yamana's adjacent mine, and that is these younger rhyolite domes, and that's what that light colored hill you can see behind us is, and also the presence of arsenic and antimony anomalies, and those are two very, very classic pathfinder elements that lead you to these gold-silver mineralized epithermal veins.
Fiore raised $11 million in September. I noticed one of the company's founders, Frank Giustra, a philanthropist, mining financier, billionaire, took down 1 million units at 55 cents for his own investment purposes. How do you plan to deploy that capital in the coming quarters here?
Yeah, so at present, Fiore has about $14 million in the bank, which makes us probably one of the more cashed up junior explorers in the space right now. About $1.6 million of that is going to be spent on the upcoming drill program. And then we've got lots of cash in the kitty if we want to expand that program, if we encounter the kind of success that we're expecting to hit here. In addition, this is our first property. It's definitely not going to be our last property. We're going to have, deploy some of that cash as we acquire, make deals on other ground. And there's lots of good projects out there that we're reviewing at the moment.
You mentioned earlier that you plan to RC drill as opposed to diamond drilling. Why is that?
Well, RC drilling has been used very, very successfully for a long period of time by Yamana on their Pampas Victoria and the rest of the El Peñon mine. And so we're going to just take that very successful technique and apply it here. It's also obviously much cheaper and much quicker. And it really answers that first question, are there veins here and are they mineralized? Again, if we get the kind of success that we think we're going to get, then we'll bring in the diamond drill rigs and start to flesh out the deposit a bit more from that perspective.
Right, and with drilling expected to start so soon, do you have a ballpark on the cost per meter?
Yeah, so I mean, RC is nice and cheap. The all-in contractor costs are roughly $80 US a meter. If we add in all of our logistics and our personnel and our camp and everything, brings it up to around $150, $160 per meter. So costs have really come down over the past few years.
Tim, can you just elaborate on the geology of the region and why this belt has been so productive?
Sure. So the central volcanic belt of Chile is mainly known for its big copper deposits. I mean, just over the hill in front of us here, we have one of the world's largest copper mines, Escondida. Just to the north, we have, more large mines like Spence and Sierra Gorda. But in this particular area, there's actually quite a lot of gold mineralization. And of course, you've got the multi-million ounce Yamana's El Peñon mine right over the hill here. It's really that mineralized because of two major things. First of all, there's a very large fault that runs through the area behind us here, through those hills off in the background, called the Dominador Fault. And anytime you're close to a large regional structure like that, you're able to get open space available as there's movement on that fault. That allows the fluids to come up, the mineralizing fluids that deposit the gold and the silver in these epithermal veins. So on a regional scale, there's some great geology here. And on a more localized scale, we have these rhyolite domes that have come up, and these rhyolite domes are very, very intimately associated with epithermal veins just over the hill here at Yamana's ground. And we think that that same indicator is very promising here on Fiore's ground.
So on these types of visits, usually I ask the CEO about what infrastructure challenges may arise should they make a discovery. Obviously, we passed a number of benefits on the way here, the paved highway. Can you elaborate on some of the infrastructure that will help you guys?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as you saw, we drove here in about an hour and 20 minutes from Antofagasta, a major mining city, on that highway that's just over behind us there that has a power line running beside us and a rail line running beside it. We're immediately adjacent to a large operating mine with all of the facilities that entails. And so, logistically speaking, this is not a challenging area to work in at all. In fact, it's probably one of the easiest areas I've ever worked in.
From a permitting and environmental standpoint, what challenges, if any, have you faced thus far in Chile?
Yeah, so it's obviously very early days for us, but so far so good. We haven't seen any major permitting issues. We were able to get drilling and get our camp permitted very quickly. Obviously, if we want to expand that program, we're going to have to do a bit more detailed permitting, but now this early stage exploration actually is very, very simple and straightforward.
Finally, with the drills expected to start turning in the coming weeks, when can investors expect results from Fiore's Pampas El Peñon project?
Yeah, I mean, RC drilling is fairly straightforward and quick, so we typically expect to see the first assay results something between 4 and 6 weeks after we start drilling, so probably late November, early December of this year.
Awesome. Tim, thanks for showing us around this project. It's been a real pleasure.
Oh, you're very welcome.
This concludes our journey to the Chilean desert, a world-class mining region, home to some of the largest mining companies on the planet. With drills expected to start turning shortly, we're looking forward to seeing if Tim and his team at Fiore can capitalize on their close proximity to Yamana's flagship precious metals asset, a unique position for any junior company to be in.